Hi, in this tutorial I'd like to demonstrate how to build waterfront sites. Okay, so let's just discuss our base elements. We have a surface object which is 1000 meters by 1000 meters. It can be any size depending on a project needs. Then we have our lake spline, we have our curved area, and we have our hardscape areas. In this case it's just a pedestrian walking path and some sidewalks. It's a very simple scene, just for demonstration purposes. Okay, so let's go to Helpers, volume, create Cityscape Pro, and let's pick our surface first, which is this plane, and let's enable the Modify Surface, and let's add the water area. Let's generate. Let's see. Okay, so we have a water now. In our case, it's just a reservoir water. However, we can change it to lake if we like to, which will give you that gradual slope everywhere. But typically on complex waterfront areas like that, you might have different types of banks. Sometimes it's just a gradual slope, sometimes it's a concrete wall. So for more control, it's usually more suitable to start with a reservoir template. And if you need a certain area, like if you want to create a beach in a certain area, you can insert a custom model, like a custom sweep, which can be just a simple line. Let's bring it to height. Let's bring it to the height. Let's enable the sweep. Okay, so you can control the individual sweep parameter and maybe apply a beach texture to it. And if you don't want this sweep to be visible in some areas, you can just delete it here. So that way you have more control. If you have complex waterfront site, it's probably better to start with a reservoir template and then just create the custom beach models manually. Otherwise, if you have an even surface everywhere, even slope everywhere, you can just go ahead and use either reservoir or pond template, and it just gives you same gradual slope everywhere. Okay, so now this is our surface object. It's typically used as a roads, but once it gets underneath the water, you don't see the surface anymore because water is not very transparent material, so you can leave it like that. The water geometry will be visible as a water. When Cityscape is being generated, the water geometry has material applied to it automatically, so you don't really need to do anything more unless you want to create a custom water material. Okay, so then we need the curved areas. So this is going to be our curved area. It's a simple one, and it has a similar shape to our lake outlines. It's almost matching perfectly, so we can just pick it. Let's create our curved area. Okay, so this is our curved area, and you can see that it is coming at the edge of the beach. If necessary, if you like to create more beach, what can be done is you can just move that curved area vertices back a little bit to expose more beach underneath, something like that maybe. And now if you generate, so you have more beach geometry visible. Okay, now that's clear, and now we can just keep adding our simple hardscape areas. This is going to be just pavement, and we also have the sidewalk path. Now we generated. And that's going to be our result. So right now we have the sidewalk area visible and second pavement area. Okay, so now the rest would be just a typical setup of road texture. We can start doing that. We can go to road texture, enable mapping. Let's load just the material, and now the road material is applied to everything. Okay, so if you like to make this part of the surface a different material, since you have some exposed beach area here, you probably want to have a sand texture here. So you can do that by going to just doing like a simple outline where you want sand texture. Let's call it sand, and let's go to our road texture, and let's create a new layer, which is a sand maybe, and we can go to fill close line. We go to here and just pick that sand texture and just generate. Okay, let's move this up. So now this part of the surface will show us as sand. Okay, and the next part would be just enabling outer dust on this. That's it, just generate, and outer dust is created. And now let's just quickly apply some random materials to everything. Template dry maybe. And yes, load all of them, and let's do a quick test. Okay, and this is just a very simple setup, but it gives you an idea what can be done here. And again, if you'd like to have more control over the waterfront area, you can always switch back to reservoir template, generate. Then you can just create a custom beach geometry, whatever necessary. You can also use some kind of scattering tool to scatter rocks around the edges. One useful thing here would be, let's say you have this one single curved area, but there might be cases where you want to have more control over specific curved areas. So you can separate your curved area in a couple of pieces. So we can call this, let's say, main site, and we can detach this curved area splines. Once we're finished detaching, we can generate. And now you'll see that those curved areas disappeared. So then we can create another Cityscape Pro and call it context site. We pick the same surface, and we pick the detached curved area, and we pick the same hardscape area because it's touching the context curved area as well. And we generate, and now we have individual control over this curved area. If it's a context and you don't have any close-ups, you can change the curve to low poly. That way it will generate less vertices. It won't have that chamfer over the curve. And you generally have more control. Like if you have a very large site, the larger the site, it takes more time to generate. So if you find yourself having lots of update in your main site area and you don't update much in your context site, you can just separate that curved area. It will still share the same surface, but it will generate in separately. So you might save some time and also have more control. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching.